Hi, my name is Julie, and thank you so much for this opportunity to share my testimony. Growing up, I went through a whole lot of abuse. I was actually sex trafficked and by my parents. They were involved in a child pornography ring also. So I went through a lot of sexual abuse. And through generations, dad's family was involved in Satanism. And so he was involved in the occult and pulled my birth mom into that. And so I went through satanic ritualistic abuse as a child too. It was so much darkness, so much abuse, anything that you can imagine. And I'm not going to get into what happened in the occult other than I was drugged when I wasn't able to handle what was going on. I was drugged, and there's a lot of sexual abuse that comes with that also in the occult. They did bring God into it, and so I thought what I was going through was orchestrated by God. I thought it was His fault that what was happening to me was happening. And so I grew up angry at God. At 10 years old, I was cutting myself. I was suicidal. I'd written a suicide letter to my parents, and the dad actually walked in and saw the letter and laughed and walked away. I started drinking in middle school. Friends had brought liquor to school, and I learned what alcohol was. I learned that it could numb me even more. I ended up getting pregnant my junior year of high school. I thought, here's somebody that's finally going to love me, somebody that I could love. Little did I know I didn't know how to love. But I ended up getting pregnant in high school. I started using drugs at 18. I had my second daughter when I was 19 and actually went through liver and kidney failure because of my pregnancy as a result of that. High blood pressure. Spent a month in the hospital, and still when I got out ended up going back on drugs. I was hurting, I was angry, and I was running. And that's kind of the story of my life. I was always running, always trying to outrun the hurt and the pain I didn't want to feel. I went into foster care a year and a half when I was 15. Ended up coming back out and living with my birth mom, who took me to dad again, and things continued. So, years of running, I actually went through 2 programs and graduated 2 Christian programs. And I didn't allow God to heal my heart. So each time I went back out there, continued to use drugs. I kept running until my son turned 18, moved out of the house. My kids were raised in addiction. My daughter was 16 years old and pregnant. We were living in a hotel, and I realized this is not the life I want for my kids. I wanted more, so I looked for a program and found New Beginnings. My whole program, I resisted. I was full of religion, and I didn't want what they had to offer because it was God, and I thought God had hurt me. So it took me years, honestly, of straddling the fence, of playing both sides to finally make up my mind. And it was in a counseling session. I was in turmoil, and Granny was there, and she looked in my eyes and said, "I love you." But it wasn't her words, it was God. It was God speaking straight to my heart, and I tangibly felt it. And all of a sudden, I discovered He opened my eyes to see the truth that this God was not who I was taught He was. He was loving and kind. And He started to pull me out of darkness and draw me to Him and show me the truth about Him. And that's what changed my life. It took a while for me because of all the hurt. And then my daughter had actually gotten on heroin. My son was on drugs. She was prostituting. She saw the change in my life and wanted it. So I actually got to be a part of her rescue mission, rescuing her from prostitution. And I was able to take her to another program where she got healing and has been clean for 6 years now. She is now following the Lord. My son's off of drugs. His promise is not just for us, it's for our whole household. So I encourage you, if you're going through anything big or small, just know that God is with you and He can do anything.